Okay class, today we've brought in two professionals to teach about Archimedes, the first scientist. Boo!
Hello, my name is Pablo. My colleague Tom will tell you all about Archimedes.
Hello, my name is Tom. Let's learn. Yay!
There once was a fellow named Archimedes. He was born in 287 BC in the city of Syracuse in Sicily. He was a Greek mathematician, physicist, engineer, inventor, and astronomer. One day Archimedes was summoned by the king of Sicily to investigate if he had been cheated by a goldsmith. The king said he had given a goldsmith the exact amount of gold he needed to make a crown. However, when the crown was ready, the king suspected that the goldsmith had cheated and slipped some silver into the crown, keeping some of the gold for himself. The king asked Archimedes to solve the problem. One day when Archimedes was taking a bath, Archimedes noticed that the water level in the bath rose. When he sat into it, he suddenly realized that how much the water was displaced depended on how much of his body was submerged. This discovery excited him so much that he jumped out of the bath and ran through the streets half naked, yelling Eureka, the ancient Greek meaning for I found it. You see, Archimedes needed to check the crown's density to see if it was the same as the density of pure gold. Density is a measure of object's mass divided by its volume. Pure gold is very dense while silver is less dense. So if there was silver in the crown, it would be less dense than if it were made of pure gold. But no matter what it was made of, the crown will be the same shape, which means the same volume. So if Archimedes could measure the mass, he could find out how dense it was. But it is not easy to measure the crown's volume. It has an irregular shape that's different from a simple box or ball. You can't measure its sides and multiply it like you might for other shapes. The solution Archimedes realised was to give the crown a bath by placing it in water and seeing how much the water was displaced. He could measure the volume, then would calculate the density of the crown. If the crown was less dense than pure gold, then the goldsmith most definitely cheated the king. When Archimedes went back to the king and did his test, he found that the goldsmith had indeed cheated the king and slipped some silver into the crown. The king then ordered the goldsmith to be beheaded. Archimedes was killed by a Roman soldier in 212 BC.
And that's the story of Archimedes.
Students of physics are frequently told of experiments performed by the physics of old, like boils and shells, but the greatest of these was the principle discovered by Archimedes! The Sicilian king Archimedes was told, ordered a crown from a large lump of gold, and though the weight of the crown was completely correct, the goldsmith's eye made the king suspect that he had made up the weight with some cheaper metal and stolen some gold that his density might settle. His problem was then of outstanding immensity, as he had no idea whatsoever of density!
Climbing into the bath, he received surprise when he noticed the water beginning to rise. He suddenly snapped and let out a scream as he realised with joy his long wished for dream. He found the upturst reduced in the body's base to be equal in weight to the water displaced, and soon volumes and weights would make it quite plain what various metals the crown could contain, and so he could easily show his royalty, the proof of his goldsmith's disloyalty.
Leaping out of the bath at a remarkable rate, he made for the palace by doorway and gate. But the men in the street were completely confounded to see a man naked, shouting Eureka.